The demand for group and private events is at an all-time high. Is your business ready to capitalize on all these opportunities? With Restaurateur as your booking partner, you can ensure event success this year and beyond.
With no booking fees or commissions, Restaurateur has helped over 2,000 restaurants, bars, and breweries reach local event planners who are looking for a space for their next gathering. Whether it's a birthday, anniversary, graduation, or corporate event, Restaurateur will get your space booked.
Try it today and receive 3 months completely risk-free by signing up at restaurant.com/podcast. That's restaurent.com/podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia Sarek.
And I'm Spencer Michael.
And this is So You Want to Run a Restaurant, created by the team at backofhouse.io, the most trusted resource for restaurant tech.
Today's guest is Chef Shachi Mehra, executive chef and partner of Adya, a modern Indian street food concept in Orange County, California that is redefining how people experience Indian cuisine in the United States.
And she's not just a restaurateur, she's also a chopped champion and the founder of Shachi's Spice Girl sauces, which, as we'll get into, is a very different game than running a restaurant.
Yeah, especially because she didn't even start out in food. She was on track to become a doctor before stepping into the kitchen and realizing that that is her place.
That's right. And then she goes on national TV, wins Chopped, and then casually says she's going to start a sauce company.
And then actually has to go and do it.
So today we're getting into all of that, building her restaurant and what it really looks like to go from restaurant to CPG product.
Well, welcome, Shachi. Appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So let's start with your origin story. We love a good origin story. So you were originally on a path to become a doctor, and then you switched to being in the kitchen. So what was the exact moment you realized I really want to be, scraping a grill top as opposed to, becoming a doctor? And I can imagine your parents were thrilled with this decision as well.
So I consider myself very lucky in the sense that I do have an actual moment in which.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Tell us.
I decided very young that I was going to be a doctor as I got older and went to college. And the only thing that I had decided was I wasn't going to be a surgeon. And then eventually I started working for a doctor. And I was like 19 or 20 at the time. And he was probably 60.
Right. Okay.
And I remember looking at him with a patient and realizing that I would never be as happy as he was if I continued to do this.
Interesting. Wow.
And I don't know what's
a good gauge
in my mind in that moment, but I know that that actually happened. And it's sort of, in a way, was almost devastating in that moment, right? Because now I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And my sister suggested culinary school because I'd always enjoyed cooking. I was the one that was making all of our birthday cakes and having dinner parties. And I didn't know anyone in the business. I didn't know anything about the business. And I had started looking into culinary school then. And I didn't know that you could go for 4 years. You can spend $100,000. You could spend $5,000. You can go for a couple of months. There's a lot of options. And I went to go meet this chef at a restaurant in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, basically to be like, so how does this work? And he talked to me for 45 minutes, which I later came to recognize as a huge, big deal.
Very much so. Yeah. Good for him. For him.
He said, if you want, you can come in and hang out on Saturday, which I did. And
excellent.
That Saturday, when I was there, I knew this is what I'm supposed to do.
So where were you hanging out? Were you in the kitchen just kind of just trying to stay out of the way?
I was just like, I was doing whatever people told me to do. Halfway through that day, the chef and the sous chef sat me down and they were like, so what do you think? And I was like, I love it. And they said, well, how would you like to work here? And I was like, what? And they said, well, we can't pay you very much to start. And I was like, okay.
That's perfect. Sounds great.
They probably loved that answer.
Yeah, no kidding.
No fighting.
I worked at the doctor's office and the restaurant for 6 months, where I was working at the doctor's office in the morning, and then I would go to the restaurant, work dinner service, close, and then go home. I look back on that time and I'm like, man, if I did not feel really strongly about what I was doing, there's no way I would have done it. I got in trouble a lot. It was hard.
What was it about that night in the kitchen then that really caught you? Was it just the energy of it all? Was it did it look like it was so much fun? Or
no, I think it wasn't about it looking a certain way. It was how I felt. It was like I felt this is
the energy.
This is my place. This is where
good.
And I, again, did all the things. And I basically, at that moment, I was very cognizant of being a female in a kitchen and how that is a really different experience. And I need to talk to other women.
Yeah.
It's how do I manage this? So I went to this charity event and I met a bunch of chefs and I introduced myself to the ones who either their food or their story made some impact on me. And then in the following week, I called them all up and set up these informational interviews to say, where do you think I should go to school? And I got all the answers, every single
Nice.
one. I got, my alma mater. I got, you don't have to go to school. You should go to CIA. I got all the possible options as answers.
Helpful and also unhelpful. You're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Now what do? I have
Yeah.
I have 10 buckets to pick from
kidding.
instead of just one or
Hey, I'm
two.
really hoping this narrow things down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. All these answers answered nothing. Thank you so
Exactly.
Right. But
Exactly.
one of the chefs that I met during that time was Floyd Cardoz from Tabla.
Yes.
And his story was fascinating to me. What he was doing with Indian food at that time was fascinating to me. And I just went to talk to him and he said, oh, well, if you want, I have a position open you can trail for. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I went home like walking on clouds, literally.
Yeah, I bet.
I heard
And
I've heard he's an incredible person. He's
he
the
was.
late Floyd Cordoz, unfortunately, but I've heard great stories.
Yeah, he was a true pioneer in fine dining and Indian food and
Nice.
getting people to access flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I trailed for that position and I had terrible knife skills, but I got the job and I worked for him for about 5 years. But at that point, I knew I wasn't going to go to formal culinary school.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I went to DC. And then from DC, I moved west to California.
Nice. I think the culinary school, you got to find your own path. It's a choose your own adventure sometimes with becoming a chef. Culinary school really resonates with some people who have that kind of desire to get into that more scholastic way of learning. And some need to go to the school of hard knocks and just, are more artist-like and just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. So obviously you were kind of a hybrid in the way of, you've got some formal training, but also it was more or less on the spot.
I'm grateful for the experience that I had and the places that I've been and the people that I've worked for and what it's taught me.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. I'm sure you learn all the good stuff and the challenging stuff as well, and all the lessons in between. Success in this industry isn't one big moment. It's 1,000 small ones going right. It's the split check that doesn't stall the line and the mid-shift menu edit that actually syncs.
At Toast, they're obsessed with precision. While others build for everyone, they build for the chaos of the real world. Their platform is packed with 1,000 little solutions designed to catch bottlenecks before they happen.
Get tech built for the way you actually work at pos.toasttab.com. Did your experience working underneath Chef, did that inspire you to open up your own restaurant? Because I want to talk about when you decided to make that move. And I know that that's modern Indian fast casual. Talk to us about the thought process that went into that and what you saw in launching that maybe others weren't doing yet.
So I think when I had joined the culinary profession, like the big thing, for most chefs, like the thing you're going to do to make it was open your own place. That was like the goal, which I think there's so many other options that I'm aware of now, but you don't know then when you first start like that. That's your end goal. So that was always sort of in the back of my mind that eventually I'm going to open my own place. And it changed form over time, but everything I did working for other people was always fine dining. And all of my background was fine dining. And I was actually in the process of looking for a space when I lived in Oakland to open up my own place. And then I ended up getting this executive chef job that moved me to Newport. And when I left there, and that was Michelin-starred Tamarind that was opening their first U.S. property.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So again, fine dining, a certain clientele, a certain person goes to these places, right?
And trading Oakland for Newport Beach is,
it was very
all
different.
respect to the people of Oakland. Sorry, but it makes it a little bit easier when you take a look.
Very different, and I'll be honest, I loved Oakland From
Yeah.
where we lived, I could walk to 3 farmers markets, like, during the
Mm.
course of a week, and it was really, like, a growing, lively, wonderful place to live. And then when I left that position, I still had that, I want to open my own place. And one of the things that over time I had sort of figured out was the thing that's really important to me and has come out in so many ways since I opened Adya is I really feel like my purpose in life is to get more people to experience the magic of Indian flavors. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
I love
What is
that.
it what is
Love
that
that.
about? Is that about the spices? Is that about, because every time I think of Indian food, I think about the warmth of it, and it's a community experience. It's like a lot of it is shared, like a lot of it that I've had before is shared plates.
Yeah.
And this, so what was the thought process around that?
There's a lot of, like, I'll give you an example of a dish, which is called
Sure.
pani puri, and it's
Mhm.
TikTok famous right now, which was shocking to me when it happened. But it's these little shells, and they're stuffed with chickpeas and potatoes, and then they come with a tamarind mint water that you pour into the shell, and you eat it all at once,
Ah,
Oh,
like a shot, but you eat
I
it.
wow.
have seen
Really
this.
cool. Yeah.
I have seen this on the talk.
And this is something that is made in different forms with different names and certain changes all over India. And it's a street
Mm.
food. There's a guy that has a cart and there's 10 people in front of him. And maybe you want yours spicy and you want yours with extra sweet chutney. And I don't want any sweet chutney. He knows what each of us wants and he's counting how many we've eaten. And when we say we're done, he tells you how much you owe him. And he's doing all that math
Wow.
and
Mm.
figuring all that
Interesting.
out while he's just constantly making it. It's magical.
So he's taking like chef, owner, operator to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
There's not even pen and paper and Excel spreadsheet for this one.
Just in his head. No kidding.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's no toast
There's no
POS here.
calculator.
No.
He just knows what's happening. But this
Yeah.
dish, even now, like we have it on the menu, and people that have it for the very first time, like, and they'll ask me to describe it to them because they're trying to decide if they want to get it. And I tell people there isn't anything like this that I could describe for you and say, this is what it will feel like, or this is
Mm.
because it's such an explosion of textures, like so many different textures. There's crunchy, there's
Mm.
cold water, there's squishy chickpeas and potatoes, and so many different flavors. And that's what I think makes part of what makes Indian food so remarkable. It's the layering of these flavors. When
Oh
you take
yeah.
a bite of something and you
Yep.
say, oh, did I taste something spicy? Let me take another bite. And then you take that second bite and you say, oh, I tasted something else this time. Let me take a third bite. And it's revealing something else or reinforcing something that you just tasted in a way that makes you want to get it again.
Oh yeah. There's such a rich layer of
Yeah.
flavor.
As you're traveling around India, is it similar to like being in Italy where they're making a dish in one town and then you go to the next town, which might be about, 30 minutes away, but it's completely different. And they don't know how to make it over there. We know how to make it here. And it's
Mm.
the same dish, but it's slightly different. And this is the
Right?
more authentic one. Is that going to be a similar experience?
There's definitely some dishes that are like that all over India, but there's also dishes that you will only find in one specific area. Like
Right, right.
there's
Mhm.
things that you will only find in this one tiny town, and then they'll sell it to the tiny towns around them. But if you leave this state, you will not find it. And if you
And
do, it's not going to be anything like the actual thing.
it's incredibly
Mhm.
biodiverse too. Like the
Yes.
north is you get snow and there's different
It's so
things that grow there.
true.
And then
Yeah.
and then you get down to the very south and it is outrageously hot.
Like you said, the north, it's cold and there's, the spicing is different.
Mhm.
South, there's an entire coastline. There's a lot of seafood, which I think people find shocking, but
Mhm.
they're near, right?
Mhm.
And it's very, very different all across the country. And that's again, that's like, there's only so much of that we're exposed to here, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's changing
I think so
a
too.
little
Yeah.
bit at a time. And I think people's tastes are changing in the sense that they're open to trying more new things. But
Is there a specific region that you kind of hone in on? Is that you're specialize in?
I'm from Rajasthan, which is Northwest. I was born in Jaipur.
Ah, yes, yes. Okay. All right.
Sounds like you've there's so much tradition in the cooking that you're doing, and there's so much there's thoughtfulness throughout everything that you're doing, and all the spices and the layering and how you're thinking about using all these ingredients. I want to talk about you being on Chopped. And did you take all of that with you to be on the show? Because I feel like a lot of that would have been very helpful in a setting like being on Chopped.
Right. So being on Chopped was awesome, obviously.
Yeah.
One. But it was really eye-opening for me because it wasn't something I walked into knowing I can do this. This is going to be easy, no problem. I got like when it says 20 minutes, you really only have 20 minutes. And it also sort of reminded me, because I think being a chef that's making Indian food that's creative and doing things that are different and making them accessible to people, you also sort of are in the US full of chefs where, what are you supposed to make? You're supposed to make things people want to eat, that they know, that they recognize. So initially, my first gut reaction, whether it was something Indian, I would push that back and go for something that would be considered safer.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And doing that exercise twice reminded me that I need to go with what I think of first, because that's who I am. And this is an opportunity for that to shine. I did end up making Indian inspired dishes for each of the 3 courses out of weird cheese stuff that we got.
I was about to say, you were on the ooey gooey cheese episode, and which is not something you would equate to Indian food as ooey gooey cheese.
But
No.
I love cheese.
Yeah.
Just as a person in general, I love cheese, and that's what they said. That's the episode you're going to be on.
It worked because you won.
You won.
And then on national TV, you say you're going to start a sauce company.
Yeah.
And so did you immediately regret saying that? Or did you say, hey, I'm so glad that I said that?
In the moment, I don't think that I was like, oh no, I just said that. But I did after I went home.
Yeah.
That was the push that I needed, because for me, it was an idea that I already had in my head, that I want to have a sauce line and I want to have a product line, because ultimately, going back to that goal, I want as many people to have access to these flavors as possible. And I can only have access to the people that come to Anaheim or the people that come to my restaurant, right? And we're like 2 miles from Disneyland, so there is access to a lot of people from a lot of different places. Which is amazing. But if you don't make it here, how can I do that? And so having a product line was it was already a thing in my brain. And I think saying it out loud on national TV was the push that I needed to give myself, because at that point I was like, well, now I said it on TV. I've got to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's transition into that then, because I want to know about, how do you go from, making sauces in the kitchen to be served like your mise en place to be served that night, and you're just cooking it to order, to now, there's got to be different regulations, there's got to be a different kitchen that you have to utilize. Did you know this going into it?
Oh, I'm a person that does a lot of reading, to the point probably of analysis paralysis in a lot of ways. So yes, there were certain things that I did know. I decided before I started that I wasn't going to like make it in the restaurant and put it in a bottle and then just sell it. I knew I wanted a co-packer.
Okay.
And I wanted to start that way, because if I start that way, then scaling will be easier versus starting in my kitchen and then having to reinvent that business by sending it to a co-packer.
The co-packer is one of the hardest things to do when you launch a CPG product.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are really hard. But the thing that I learned almost immediately was the only thing that's the same between running a restaurant and having a CPG product is that they're both food. That's literally it.
That's the only thing. That's everything. Everything else is different.
Everything else is the language you use is different. The people you deal with is different. How you reach a consumer is different.
Yeah.
5 million steps before you can reach a consumer with a CPG product are very different from the 5 million steps it takes before you open a restaurant.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I feel like there's so many restaurateurs who have these amazing dishes or amazing sauces or spices or kits or whatever. And they do really well on a menu, but then when they go to actually package it up in a CPG product, it's like it flutters, it doesn't do well. They don't,
Hmm.
there's so many lessons learned along the way that I'm sure that you've learned launching your own line
Yeah.
that I think is very real. The only thing that's really the same is the food, but everything else, forget it. Like there's a totally different course for this.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't, I don't think one qualifies you to do the other.
Yeah.
Because I could I could say, "Oh, I make this sauce that's so good, I need to
Mhm.
bottle it."
Mhm.
Great. But to get that in a bottle, where's the bottle coming from? What kind of lid does it have? What does your label look like? Who's making it? How's it getting shipped from there to there? How are you gonna sell it to somebody without having made it? I mean, there's
Mhm.
so many things along the way, and then you have to learn the language, right? Like, what does this mean? What's a slotting fee? What's a free fee?
Totally.
What is
CPG land, it's totally different land.
yeah,
And there's just so many layers, right? There's so many layers. Like in the
Oh,
restaurant,
yeah.
it's going from your hand to the
right.
customer's table.
Yeah.
Or if they're taking it out, it's going right to their house, even if it goes through Uber Eats or something like that. There's got to be so many layers between bottling that sauce to getting it into the hands of the customer.
So
Mhm.
I'll be honest, there's been moments where I'm like, man, like if I just would have just put this in a jar at the restaurant, I could sell it at the restaurant forever, right?
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
could do
Right.
that
Mhm.
because it's not an official, it doesn't need any of the FDA things. So I'm just selling it here and you take it home, put it in your
Mhm.
fridge and it's great. But that's not scalable.
Right.
So
Right.
why did I open something that was fast casual in the first place? That was the first step towards having access to more people. So
Right.
Mhm.
one of the first things I learned after opening was we kept having people come up to the register and saying, "I've never had Indian food before. What do you think I should have?"
Oh, interesting.
Of course.
I started to ask them, "Why did you decide to have it today?" Because I wanted to know, what am I doing here that's making them want to come here? And for some people, it was I could smell it the minute I walked into the hall
Yep.
because we're in
That's
some
what I
food
say.
hall.
They
And it
must
smells
smell it. Yeah.
fabulous. I'm watching your people because we have an open kitchen with 2 tandoors in the front. Like, I was watching them and what they're doing is fascinating. Or I've heard it's really good and I've never tried it where I live because, walking into an Indian restaurant and potentially ordering the wrong thing is daunting.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I have this many dollars to spend today. Am I going to go to a place that feels safe or am I going to go do something that I'm unsure of?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
here
Totally.
I'm in a food hall where your kid can still have pizza and your partner can still have some Thai food or, sushi, but you want to try something new. I've had people come up and be like, "Oh, my partner really doesn't like Indian food, so we never get to eat it." I'm so excited because they get to eat whatever they want and I get to eat this today.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But to me, I really want access to those people who think they don't like Indian food.
Absolutely.
I want access to those people.
Going back to the product though for a second.
Yep.
So, do you find that the line of products that you created was an inroad for people to try Indian cuisine or flavors, or did you find that it's for people that are already interested in Indian cuisine that are looking for a different spice or sauce?
So, because we've had our own challenges in
Yeah.
growing and actually becoming Shachi's Spice Girl sauces,
Yeah.
when we first started, we were Spice Girl sauces, and then we went to go trademark it,
Mhm.
and there were 2 or 3 people ahead of us, and
Uh,
the person that was first in line wasn't in business anymore. But so you
Mm.
have options, right? You can say, "I'm going to poke
Mhm.
this there and say, hey, are you going to use this?" And I could wait and see what happens, or I could do something else, and that was
Mhm.
trademark my name.
Mm.
Huge step for me. And so when we first started selling, we were selling at the farmer's market in Orange. We're selling at the restaurant and some local stores. So for
Okay.
local people, it was, I'm going to get this because I know you. I
yeah.
trust you as a chef.
Mhm.
I trust the food that you make. And the way people used, I only had 2 sauces in that first line, and it was a hot sauce and a tomato chutney. And what people used it for taught me more about my product than I already knew.
Really?
Oh, that's a good lesson for people that are launching this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never wanted my product wants to be like, this is Indian food. I make Indian food on the third Thursday of every month, and this is when I'm going to use this product. I don't want that. I want you to use this hot sauce on tacos or eggs or avocado toast or whatever you're eating. I want it to be your go-to. Somebody
Yeah.
did the pizza base, and I hadn't done that before, and it's amazing.
It's a good
That
idea.
sounds
There's a
good.
guy that
Yeah.
swore by putting this tomato chutney on his meatloaf. That was like his thing.
Also
bet
I didn't
that's
be
think
good. Also, yeah, these are all good
I
ideas.
hadn't thought of that at all. So learning all these things from my consumers really helped me develop what was coming next. So we had our original co-packer, and then we had to change a co-packer, and then we found a new one, and then we had a very funny now story about what happened there, and then we ended up having to find another co-packer.
So many brands go through this. I feel like
Yeah.
you could talk to every brand. It's like, how many co-packers are you at this point?
Yeah. So
4 or
we
5?
actually just found out this week that we're producing our pilot batch later in April. So it's a
Oh,
huge
Oh,
congratulations.
very nice.
Congratulations.
thanks. And we have 4 flavors coming out. So the original hot sauce, the tomato chutney, there's a tomatillo chutney, and tikka masala sauce. I don't want you to just put chicken in it and eat it, or just put tofu in it and eat it. I want you to put in your pasta, because you know what? That is so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I like that you're diversifying the way people are using it. And I think that also is a testament to reaching more palates too. Like
Yes.
you're promoting it to I'm assuming it mostly an American audience. And so it's like, hey, you can use it in the way that's authentic to you
Right.
as like an add-on. So
Yeah.
what do you think that most chefs get wrong when they try to launch products that you would say, hey, here's my biggest lesson learned doing this?
Man, that's a tough one. The biggest lesson. I really think you got to talk to a bunch of people and get maybe just a skeleton understanding of what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Because when I first started to learn about it and talk about it, I was like, oh, this system is screwed up. I'm not going to pay 3 people just to get onto a grocery store shelf. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's not even like, what? Who does that?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be just
Mhm.
like this old system. That's not true. That's not
Yeah,
how
nobody knows about the
you
brokers
do
until
that.
you enter
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this myself.
No.
No.
Yeah, you
But
got to use the
that's not
brokers. It's not the way it
currently.
goes.
That's not how this game is played.
Just drive
Yeah.
around to different grocery stores and show up with a
I mean,
case
you
of
you
bottles
could,
and yeah,
but
you could.
that's the other thing is, if as a person that's, running a restaurant and, launching a CPG product, having her own consulting business, I can't just jump in my car and go to 50 grocery stores a day. I just don't have the time or the bandwidth.
Yeah,
So
and if you want to get into some of these giant ones like Whole Foods, Target, all of that, that's not how it works.
no. There is more of a framework that you have to follow
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent. I think that I don't know. I mean, I guess because now I'm on the other side of it, I don't know how many people are still out there thinking, oh, I have this great pasta sauce. I'm going to put it in a jar and put it in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess somebody's thinking that.
I want to circle back to the beginning where you talked about being a woman in the industry. I read an interview that you gave that you've had to prove yourself more than your male peers and face challenges in the industry. Do you feel like anything has changed at all, or is that still very much the reality for women in this space? And what advice would you give to other women that are entering into this space?
Will I say that it's changed? No.
Yeah.
Will I say it's changing? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Progress.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Progress is one little baby step at a time, right?
Yes. Baby steps. Absolutely. Advice wise, I would say if you're not happy somewhere, you don't need to be there. You don't, regardless of what it's going to do for your career to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unhappy somewhere, you're not helping yourself at all.
Yeah.
I've stayed in a place that I was unhappy. And when I left, I realized that wasn't helpful to me. It was harmful to me. So for me, as a female running a restaurant that's fast casual, right? So we're already not eligible for, fine dining awards. We're not on the radar for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I am on the radar for thousands of people that are trying Indian food or coming to the restaurant,
Yeah.
on their radar. And for me, I've worked for people that screamed a lot. I've worked for people where we weren't even allowed to talk loudly in the kitchen. I've worked in a kitchen where music was allowed. I've worked in a kitchen where music wasn't allowed. And all of those experiences have informed how I run my kitchen. And even now, like we've been open for 12 years and I have interviewed people to work for me. And at the end of the interview, have been asked the question, so who's the boss? And I'll say, I am.
Oh, wow.
You're like, oh, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for not wasting my time or yours.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Please, you're not welcome in this culture. My
Wow.
goodness. Like the
But
the
it's,
company culture.
I've had salespeople come up to me, my picture's on the wall right behind them, and say,
Yeah.
is the owner here? And my answer is going to be like, no, not today. Hi.
God. Oh God. I'm sorry that you face that, but also what are true reality that I think a lot of women in food service and in entrepreneurship do face, and
Right.
I think it's like a sad reality, but it's also a reality that has to be faced and challenged.
There is, even as an Indian running an Indian restaurant, there is
Yeah.
a very specific way older Indian generations look at women, right?
Mm.
Especially in the
Mhm.
business. So when I first
Mhm.
in Tamarind, there was a lot of people that came in and said, so this must be your dad's restaurant.
Mm.
No, it's
Mm.
not. I got this job on my own merit. I'm
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah. No, it's mine. It's my blood, sweat, and
There's
tears. Yeah.
no room for that. It's, I worked years in different restaurants and there's always been, I think every restaurant I worked in, there's always been either a female boss or a member of the management team that was female. Like I've always had to answer to when I was, a cook or it doesn't matter. There was always a female boss, but the kitchen was always all guys, 90% men in the
Mhm.
kitchen. And not that it was a boys club. It just wasn't at that time wasn't work that women, especially young girls, would gravitate towards. And then even if they did, they'd look at the pirates that were working in there with, and it was completely turned off. And
Yeah.
so I guess how is that changing? I mean, it's been a long time since I've set foot in the kitchen, so I'm hoping it is.
I think it's changing, but I also think that this is something that I've come across a lot in my career is the people or the chefs that were raised under chefs who believed that that was the only way you could get somebody to do something was by demeaning them or belittling them and that women don't belong in the kitchen. Because that's how you were raised in a kitchen, it's very hard for that person to let that go. You have to actively say, oh, actually, that was wrong and I'm not going to do it.
I feel like this is a conversation that we've heard a lot on this
Yep.
show as well from other people. You're not the only one. Yeah.
So like for me, yes, as a person that experienced that, I already know, right? Like this is not something that's okay with me. So it's
Yeah.
easier for me to lead my kitchen in a way that is respectful to everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the very beginning, there was a period of time where our kitchen was almost all women. And
Nice.
not because
Wow.
I made it that way, not because I was specifically hiring women. I don't actually know what the reason for that was. Maybe it was because certain men didn't want to work for a female, right? Certain
Mhm.
women wanted to work for a female. Those are all possibilities. We're not
Yeah.
all women now. We have a mixed group. We just had
Mhm.
like a period of time where it was mostly women. Everyone's like, what's going on in your kitchen? I don't know. So do I think it's changing? Yeah, I do think it's changing. I think actually very specific to right now, I think there's a lot of people talking about things that, we weren't allowed to talk about before. And there's, a new spotlight on this.
And it
Yeah.
starts with you. It starts at the beginning. You
Yeah,
set
totally.
the tone with that. You started by setting the expectation, and once people start to meet that, then you can kind of take one toe out of the water, then start to walk away a little, little by little, and then and you're right where you're at now, where you're starting other ventures and other exciting projects.
All right. We have a little bit of a lightning round here for you at the
Yes.
end here of the show that we like to ask.
I need 2 on the fly.
3 quick questions. First thing that comes to mind. Spencer, kick us off.
So, a food trend that you think is overrated right now?
I absolutely despise truffle oil.
Yes, thank you. It just tastes like chemicals. Yeah,
I absolutely cannot take it.
yeah.
A little goes a very, very long
This
way.
is the second time we've had truffles come up
Exactly.
in
I was
this
like, this is the
exact
second
spot.
person that said
Yeah,
this, that said
like
truffle oil.
just because
Watch
they're
out.
expensive doesn't mean they're always good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's so funny. What is a hill that you'll die on when it comes to cooking?
There's a thing in Indian cooking when you cook, and this is something that you learn, and this is something that you do. When you're cooking a dish and it starts with onions and garlic and ginger and a bunch of whole spices, you cook it until the oil is released on the sides. And then you add the tomato, and then you cook that until the oil is released on the sides. And in French cooking, that is considered broken. And I have
Okay.
been in situations where I'm
Mm.
teaching another chef how to make something, and I'm like, well, you have to wait for this to happen. And they're like, well, that means it's broken. And I'm like, no, that means it's still.
Hmm.
So it's a different way of looking at it. That's not
Fascinating.
necessarily the right answer to your question.
No, but I like it.
I like it. It's
I
going to
like
anchor
that
the
too.
French.
We'll
It'll
take
anchor.
it.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah,
anger the French.
the French need their chains rattled every now and then. They
I
don't
mean,
do
I feel like that
everything perfectly.
there's because we've, made that the basis of all cooking, right?
Yeah.
That's actually not true in most of the world.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
It's what we've done here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is 100% true. That is exactly right. It's the French
Like the
cooking is
rest
the
of the world's been
standard.
eating food that's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you assume that the French way of cooking is the standard, except for, the 3 to 4 billion people that live in South
Right.
Asian region where it's not even a blip on the radar.
Right.
They do things
Right.
completely
It has
different.
nothing
Yes.
to do with anything.
Yeah. Okay. So what is one hot take for the industry?
I feel like the discussion around what's authentic and who gets to decide that.
Say more.
I like
I
that
think
one.
for me, as an Indian that was born in India, which makes me
Mhm.
authentic to Indians, that I didn't realize that would change my life in whatever way, because I was
Mhm.
literally born on Christmas vacation. But it makes me a real Indian to Indians.
Mm.
But I grew up in New Jersey, and I ate peanut butter and jelly, and I ate dal and roti. I ate all the things.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Me, what is authentic to me and my experience should be as valuable. And I should be able to say that that's authentic,
Mhm.
even though it's not the way that your mother makes it, or even though it's not the way that the Indian restaurant that you go to regularly, who's run by an older Indian family, that you're like, well, clearly they're real Indians. They know what they're doing.
Mhm.
So this question of authenticity and who gets to decide whether or not somebody or somebody's food is authentic, I think needs to change.
I like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Does it taste good? Then that's what matters.
Right. I mean, we have our number one selling dish is chicken tikka masala, but our number two selling dish is a chicken tikka masala burrito. And
Huh.
why am I allowed to
Fantastic.
eat that? Because I live in Southern California.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
because it's a good
real
idea.
Southern
That's why.
California.
It's to say, and it's a good idea, and it probably tastes phenomenal.
It tastes awesome. It tastes
Yeah.
fantastic. But there's variations on that burrito. There's like 4 different kinds of burritos that we make. Is that
Mhm.
no longer authentic? It's authentic to me. The flavors of what's inside are authentic Indian flavors.
Mm-hmm. Such a good point. I love that. That is a perfect end to this discussion. What a great on the fly round.
It was.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks.
today. This was phenomenal.
Thank you. It was
Thank you,
super fun.
Gretchen.
Super fun for me as well.
So You Want to Run a Restaurant is created by Back of House, produced and hosted by Claudia Sarek, with Nick Florick as executive producer. Marketing by Hilary Young and Ashley Dunn. Creative by Manisha Kishenchand. And live production by Sarah Heemstra. And of course me, your co-host, Spencer Michael. For more information, visit backofhouse.io/podcast.